Hey, everyone back.
Yes, we are ready. Please.
Okay, we'll continue. Next one, talk about Nirodha. Here is the highest sampati which can be attained only by an Aragami or an Arahant and the Buddhas who have followed the Samatha Yana and having achieved the great eight Samapati. So let me talking about those who are on the class on the words towards Nibbana. One who enters this sampati completely arrests the stream of consciousness until he emerges from sampati. I mean, he can control the 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 consciousness until he can choose to come out. So having arrested the arising of chitta, there would be chittas, there would not be chittasika. That means you're able to control the chitta, you will, there will no chittasika, and also the material phenomenon originating from the consciousness. I mean, some sort like you're able to control your body. So the yogi will not be breathing during the sampati, and his body will be inactive like corpse. That's why have you heard people say you meditate until you cannot breathe? I haven't go to that state, so I can't tell you. So I heard about that before from the various meditating classes. So the only difference is that all material phenomena originate by kamaja rupa, or by nutriment aharaja rupa, and by temperature uttuja rupa will be intact. It's don't actually not really the state of total cessation of body because any part of your cell not working, you have to die. So I don't think it's that kind of explanation. That this is a kind of attainment that you can feel that you're not breathing at all. The yogi who aspire to attainment of Nirodha Sampati should reach each jhana, commencing from the first Rupa jhana and rises up to the Akinchana Yatana in consecutive order. So there's no way shortcut. That's why in meditation you have follow step by step. There's no like study got express class. No, in Singapore we have express class. You can bypass how many years go straight. Now you go step by step. So after emerging from Aki Chana Yatana Jhana, the yogi will be making the following resolution. Nada Bada Aviko Pana. No damage will come about to the possession of the yogi. These are things which he aspire to do. Sangha Mana will come in contact with a call from Magasana. Satu Pakosana, a call from Buddha to be communicated. Then Adadana Paricheda, reflect and see whether he will live beyond the Sampati period of 7 days. That's why I told you, meditation, maximum only 7 days. You don't come out, your whole body break down to pieces. So remember, no matter don't be happy, go to jhana or attainment, then don't come out. So these restrictions are not required in the case of Brahma in the Brahma world. This one, if you live in the Brahma world, you don't need to use except for human who are practicing. So once the prerequisites are determined, the yogi will attain the last of the immaterial jhana, the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Nivasana Satnayatana jhana. So after two top moments of the jhana, the sampati commences. So the rising of chitta, chittasika, and matter originated by chitta will cease to arise. This is explaining the 7 day I can control it. B, B, C, B, U, M, N, P, R, U, P, A, G, and then go tabu again. And N, and then neither perception nor non-perception. Then after that, after 7 days, he be and back to Bhavanga again. So this is talking about people who wishes to meditate for 7 days, stay in the particular place. Our Buddha can, but for us, we are far away. Procedure of Javana. Javana Niyamo is a term from Theravada Buddhist philosophy, specifically within Abhidhamma, with a detailed philosophical and psychological analysis of the teaching of the Buddha. The term refers to the law of mental process or the law of cognitive series that describe how mental state, citta, arise and function in a sequential manner. So in Abhidhamma, the mind is analyzed into momentary state of consciousness, each of which arise and perform a specific function and then passes away, making way for the next state. So the Javana process is a critical part of the sequence occurring during the active phase of cognitive processing. So here I explain the procedure. Here's a brief overview of stages in cognitive series or VT. Atita Bhavanga, past Bhavanga. This is a subconsciousness continuum before a sensory or mental object impinges on the mind. So this is continuing from the past and until something stops. Bhavanga Chalana, vibrating Bhavanga, the disturbance in the subconscious continuum caused by the impingement of an object. So when something like mango hit you, this is disturbing. Then the Bhavangupacheda, arrest Bhavanga, the cessation of the subconscious continuum making way of active cognitive process. This is where mango hit you, you stop, then you wake up, and then you start want to investigate. And then Pancha Dava Vachana, the five door everything. So the mind turns toward the sensory object through the one of the five senses. So when the mind stops, then the five senses will scan, and which has the highest capability will capture the object. Chakku Vyana, eye consciousness, the actual seeing, hearing, etc., depending on the sense door. So whichever open will capture the object. And then Sampatichana, receiving, the mind receive the sensory object. And Santirana, investigate. So when you receive it, then you investigate. The mind investigates the object. And Votapana, determine. The mind determines the nature of the object. Jovana, impulsion. Javana. The active phase where the karmic significant mental state arise. This is the most crucial phase and determines the moral quality action. Javana, the seven of them play a role and determine whether you create a good or bad. And Tanamana registering, the mind register and retains the object for a short period after the Javana process. So Javana finish, registration must take place. When no registration, the thing is gone. The Javana process consists of series of 7 or fewer, in some cases, identical citta that run to the object, generating karmic result. So the quality of this citta, wholesome, unwholesome, or neutral, depend on the mental factor associated there. And you see, very interesting. So when this citta, whether wholesome, unwholesome, or neutral, it will create this mental factor that will join with them. So understanding the Javana Niyamo is essential for comprehending how karma is generated and how mental state influence the future experience. That's why when you study this, every moment, we try not to commit any bad one. So this thing, bad one is created, that's it. You store in the seed, and when you fusion, it depends on your thumbs. So it provides a detailed framework for analyzing the mind operation and is used in meditation practice to develop insight into the nature of reality. So that's why you must go for samatha, then later into full insight meditation. The general procedure of arising of Javana Chitta in the sense sphere thought process is normally 7 times or 6 times. The number of times of Javana Chitta shall not exceed 7 times nor fall below 6 times. So basically Javana 6 or 7. When the heart base is feeble and weak, the number of Javana may be limited to 5 times. So heart base is another one to consider. So when heart base is weak, it may not register. For example, this is during death proximate thought, process Javana arises only for 5 times. So coming to a death, the Javana don't work for 7, it just work for 5. So it's deemed that the heart base becomes weak during the following moments. So heart base, your brother go doing this question, moment just before the death, Shuti. How this heart base become weak when drowned or unconscious, in coma or when you are drowning, unconscious due to a fall. The moment when you fall, something hit your head, then you are in the coma state. Unborn infant while in the mother wombs. So this is considered as during the heart base. These are moments which they say is very weak. So early stages after birth of an infant, when the baby come out, when seriously frightened and become senseless, a baby, because first time seeing the world, anything that become a fright to them, they can become what is called senseless. I mean, you cannot control. During the performance of the twin psychic phenomena, twin miracle by the Buddha, the reviewing jhana, the pacha vekana, arises 4 or 5 times according to the ancient teachers. To the beginner, akamika, during the first absorption, jhana, during the direct knowledge of Bina, jhana runs once only. So when one enters Nirodha Sampatti, so-called the fourth Arupa Jhana Chitta arises, only twice and stop arising. And the 4 path consciousness of Sotapatti, example, etc., arise only and is followed by 2 or 3 foot consciousness accordingly. So during attainment, the Sampatti, many Javana arise according to the wish of the yogi. Apana Javana. There are 26 Magata and Lokotura Javana. These are the high attainment one. Here the object is very clear, Vibhuta, and also has no role to play association in Apana Vitti. So in Apana Vitti proceeding, Apana Chitta is known as the Upachara Samadhi Javana. So there are 8 consciousness which arise in that respect. And those that are the 4 wholesome consciousness, sense sphere consciousness with knowledge, and 4 sense sphere functional consciousness with knowledge. So in Apana Javana Vitti, when the Upachara Samadhi Javana Chitta is accompanied by joy, the Apana Chitta that follows should also be accompanied by joy. If the Javana is accompanied by equanimity, the Apana Chitta too should be accompanied by equanimity. Further, if the Javana it will be followed by wholesome Apana Chitta, while the functional Javana will be followed by a functional Apana Chitta. This correlation, you go to YMBA textbook 4, page 167. Then you will have the explanation. For whirlings, Putujana, the trainee Seka, and the wholesome Javana with 3 roots followed by wholesome Apana. For Arahan, the functional Javana with 3 roots is followed by Apana. Seka means the 7 Arya Pugala of Sotapatti, Magasta, Sotapatti, Palasta, Sakadami, Magasta, Sakadami, Palasasta, Anagami, Magastata, Anagami, Palasata, and Arahan Magasata. So you look further, as discussed before, Apana Javana, there are 26 Maga Gata Lokotula Javana. In Apana thought series, just before the Apana consciousness, 4 other consciousness arise. They are called the Parikama, PR, Upachara, UP, Anuloma, AN, Gotabu, GO. As they arise close proximity to Apana. So those consciousness are called Upachara Samadhi Javana. They are also called Anuloma consciousness. There are 8 types of such consciousness: 4 wholesome sense sphere consciousness with wisdom, and 4 sense sphere functional consciousness with wisdom, and also the 8 consciousness, 4 accompanying with joy and 4 accompanying with neutral feeling. And then you look at the 32 Apana Chitta after the wholesome Javana accompanying with joy. As described above, out of the 8 types of Upachara Samadhi Javana, 2 wholesome consciousness are associated with wisdom and accompanied by joy. As a result, Apana Jhana that arise after wholesome Javana accompanied by joy are also associated with joy. Out of 58 consciousness, 32 belong to this category. So what are 32? Fine material sphere wholesome jhana. So which are they? First, second, third, and fourth jhana. So how many? 4. Then first, second, third, and fourth Lokotula jhana with path consciousness. So 4 jhana, 1, 2, 3, 4, times 4 path give you 16. Then next one. First, second, third, and fourth Lokotura jhana with fruit consciousness. Just now is path, this is fruit. So 4 jhana times 3 path. They don't consider the Arahant. So total 12. So add up total 32. And then the 12 Apana Chitta arising after the wholesome Javana accompanied by equanimity. There are 2 wholesome Javana consciousness associated with wisdom, accompanied by neutral feeling, equanimity. Out of 58 Apana Jhana, 12 belong to this category. These are the 12. 5 material sphere, 5th Jhana, 1. Immaterial sphere Jhana, 4. 5th Lokottara Jhana, path consciousness, 4. And 5th Lokottara Jhana, food consciousness, if string winner enter, once returner and non-returner, 3. So total 12. And 8 Apana Chitta. Similarly, there are 2 functional consciousness associated with this term, accompanied by joy. Out of 58 Apana consciousness, 8 fall into this group. Okay, 5 material sphere function jhana, first, second, third, and fourth jhana, 4. First, second, third, and fourth Lokottara with fruit consciousness of perfect sainthood Arahana, 4. So total 8. And 6 Apana Chitta arising after functional Javana accompanied by equanimity. There are two functional Javana consciousness associated with wisdom, accompanied by neutral feeling. Out of 58 Javana, Apana Javana, 6 are in this group. 5 material sphere functional jhana, 5th jhana 1. Immaterial sphere functional jhana 4. 5th lokotara jhana with full consciousness of perfect sainthood arahana 1. So total make up 6. So take note. It's important to remember the sense sphere function consciousness belong to those achieve all 4 level enlightenment. That is arahant. Therefore, all 14, 16 plus 8 Abhidhamma Javana associated with 4 function consciousness arise in Arahant. The other 44 are associated with willing and Seka. Seka are those practicing 4 path and 3 foot in achieving perfect sainthood. Looking further, as discussed before, Apana Javana are 26. Magata consciousness in Apana 2 series just before Apana consciousness, 4 other consciousness arise. They are called Parikama, PR, Upachara, UP, Anuloma, AN, Gotabu, GO. They arise close proximity to Apana. So those consciousness are called Upachara Samadhi Javana. They are called Anuloma consciousness. There are 8 types of such consciousness: 4 wholesome sense sphere consciousness with wisdom, and 4 sense sphere functional consciousness with wisdom, and also 8 consciousness, 4 accompanying a joy and 4 accompanying a neutral feeling. So these 26 can be further expanded to 58. 5 material sphere wholesome consciousness 5. 5 material sphere functional consciousness 5. Immaterial sphere consciousness 4. Immaterial sphere consciousness 4. Super mundane path consciousness 4 times 5 jhana 20. And then super mundane fusion para consciousness 4 times 5 jhana 20. So total 58. Now we look at whirling and Seka. In the Rupa Vachara world, wholesome citta, there are 5. Arupa wholesome citta, 4. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth Lokotula jhana path consciousness is 5 times 4, 20. First, second, third, and fifth Lokotula jhana food consciousness of Sotapatti, Sangami, Adagami, 5 times 3, excluding the Arahant, 15. So total 44 for whirling and Seka. Aseka, Arahant, Rupa Vachana, I mean they stay in the world. These are functional Chitta 5. They also have Arupa Vachara functional Chitta 4. Then they also practice first, second, third, and fourth, and fifth Lokotura, Arahant, food consciousness. There are 5. So total Arahant 14. And we talk about the Taramana Niyamo. Subsequently refers to the relationship between the object, Aramana, and the mental process that arise independent upon it. So it highlights how the mind and the mental factor are conditioned by the object they perceive, and how this object in turn influence the continuity of consciousness and the cycle of birth and death. So it occurs when a very great object is met to the 5-door thought process. The function of realization is carried out by 11 resultant consciousness of the 8 sense sphere resultant consciousness, the Mahavipaka, and 3 investigation consciousness. The arising of these 11 consciousness tada mana takes place in the particular method. It's called the law of other resultant, such as the five pairs of moral and immoral resultant consciousness. Receiving and investigation consciousness are also dealt with here. So the object, whether a visible object or sound, depending on which consciousness arises, can be grouped under these three categories. So we look at further what are the categories. First is the undesired object. Anitaramana is object that one does not wish to accept or receive. For example, a corpse that is rotten and decaying, the stinking smell that blows out, etc. So undesired object, good example, rotting body. Who want to keep a rotting body? Right? Unwholesome resultant. The above mentioned object come in contact due to unwholesome karma of the past. Here, the resultant consciousness of thought process such as I consciousness, the receiving, investigating, realization consciousness, except the jhana, will be unwholesome, resultant consciousness. Right? When you are in doing something of wrong thing, then this will result. Second category, desire object, itaramana, is an object that one may wish to see or hear and accept it. So these are all pleasant ones. It can be pretty or handsome visible object or sweet and harmonious sound, etc. So these are things also the five senses that you desire for it. Wholesome resultant. Such desirable object come in contact as a result of wholesome karma of the past. So past can affect the present. So in such instances, the resultant consciousness arising in the thought process except the jhana shall be wholesome resultant citta with roots and rootless, while the investigating realization function shall be carried out by wholesome resultant citta accompanied by equanimity. Then there's a third category, extremely desirable object, ati itaramana. When the object contact happens to be a very pleasing one. In such situation, the pancha vinyana and the sapati chana will be wholesome resultant. The function of investigation realization shall be carried out by the wholesome resultant accompanied by joy. We look through the charts. The function of realization, Tadaramana, takes place after the sense sphere, jhana arises on every great object of the sense sphere. There are four cases to be fulfilled for realization procedure to arise to a thought series. Arise in the sense sphere, arise in the sense sphere being, arise after the sense sphere jhana, arise at a very great object. So these are four things of realizing when you have a very prominent object. As discussed in the function, there are 11 consciousness that perform the realization function. So those consciousness and their associate object or as procedure resultant can be grouped as follow. So look at the chart. Investigation consciousness with neutral feeling, or what I call rootless, unwholesome resultant. One example is also undesirable. Investigating consciousness with neutral feeling, rootless, wholesome resultant. One. These are when you have this kind of desirable. Investigation consciousness with pleasant feeling, rootless, wholesome. This one only. So it's you're extremely happy with it, desirable. Wholesome resultant consciousness with pleasant feeling. Four. You're extremely desirable for it. And then the wholesome resultant consciousness with neutral feeling, 4. You have a desire for it. So total here, 11. Next one, the procedure of resultant, vipaka niyamo. Object, all the five senses one, depending on which consciousness arise, can be grouped into threefold. Undesirable object, anita ramana, due to unwholesome resultant. And desire object, ita ramana, due to wholesome resultant. And extremely desire object, ati thana mana, mama, is for arahant. So in the case of arahant, jhana citta of the thought process shall be functional consciousness. That's why for the other sect of Buddhism, they will not able to accept the concept of arahant. So when you're arahant, all the thing you have no more karma. You are doing is all functional, doing for your last expiry of your life. So these are functional, which they cannot accept it. So at the instances of seeing the Buddha and listening to Dhamma, which are extremely desired object, the jhana citta shall be accompanied by joy. So all these people are doing it with happiness. So in the event of desirable or undesired object, the functional jhana shall be accompanied by equanimity. So different. When you are of this standard arahants or Buddha standard, you do things with equanimity, okay? No more karma is sticking to it. So the realization citta that follow the jhana accompanied by joy shall be one of the five resultant accompanied by joy. So when jhana citta is accompanied by equanimity, the realization citta too shall be one of the six resultant accompanied by equanimity. That's a difference. So what they're doing, things are all equanimity one. Two jhana rooted in hatred. These belong to us. Feeling of joy, somanasa, or pleasant feeling, the feeling of displeasure or painful feeling are of two extremes. These are diametrical opposite. This consciousness accompanied by two different feelings shall not immediately follow each other. Or these things don't come together, one after the other one. Therefore, when the jhana happens to be accompanied by displeasure, the realization citta, if arises, shall have to be consciously accompanied by equanimity. If the resultant function does not arise, the following bhavana shall have to be a consciousness accompanied by equanimity. According, after four functional consciousness accompanied by equanimity of sense sphere, mahakariya, the two consciousness rooted in hatred, the realization consciousness shall follow, shall be one of the four resultant consciousness with root, mahavipaka, and the two investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity. After the four function consciousness accompanied by joy of the sense sphere, the realization consciousness that follow will be one of the four resultant consciousness of sense sphere or the investigating consciousness accompanied by joy. So after the rest of the immortal 10 jhana, 8 wholesome sense sphere jhavanas, mahakusala, the 11 consciousness that perform the function of realization shall arise according to respective situation as necessary. Angtuka bhavanga, or what I call intruding bhavanga, or incoming bhavanga, refers to a state when the mind is momentarily disturbed by external stimulus, but has not yet transition into an active cognitive process, like seeing, hearing, or thinking. It's like a ripple in the steady stream of bhavanga before the mind fully engages with an object. So In any being, the function of rebirth linking, the continuance, and the death shall be carried out by one single resultant consciousness. So this process of dying and rebirth is one single resultant consciousness. So according to the law of radiation mentioned above, you may note that a person whose life continuance, bhavanga, happens to be a resultant consciousness accompanied by joy when he encounters any of the Dhamma rooted in hatred, and if there's no occasion for the realization function to take place, the Javana cannot be immediately followed by his Javana, which is accompanied by joy. In such situation, the ancient teacher of Abhidhamma explained that one of the investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity arise for a single thought moment as an intermediary. Thus, investigation citta does not take the object taken by other citta of a thought process by rises having a familiar sense sphere object. This is followed by Bhavanga stream of consciousness accompanied by joy. This particular external citta is termed as adventitious life continuous, agunta, aguntuka bhavanga. So the function of realization, tada, mana, takes place after the sense sphere arises on a very great object of the sense sphere and only a sense sphere being only. So we look further analysis of thought. Based on the rebirth consciousness, the Pati Sandhi Chitta, integers can be classified into three groups. Ahetuka, rootless. Dugati Ahetukas, those born in health. Unwholesome, investigating consciousness with neutral feeling. I mean, those next birth are born in hell, they are this sort. Unwholesome, investigating consciousness with neutral feeling. Sugati Hetuka, mostly born in human plane with congenital defects. I mean, having DNA defects. Wholesome, investigating consciousness with neutral feeling. Wholesome, investigating consciousness with neutral feeling. Those who are born with, I said, death, milk, that's all. Devi Hetuka dual roots. There are four wholesome resultant consciousness without wisdom. So those who are born with two roots are of this nature. We are lucky. We try Hetuka, three roots. We have four wholesome resultant consciousness with wisdom. That's why, as a human, as a practicing Buddhist, you should be a blessing to you. You are born with three roots. When you look further, Eightfold Arya person. There are four paths and four fruits. You by now should know. Path consciousness of stream wind entry. Fruit consciousness of stream entry. Path consciousness of one return. Fruit consciousness of one return. Path consciousness of non-return. Fruit consciousness of non-return. Path consciousness of perfect saint. Fruit consciousness of perfect saint. And note, when analyzing the consciousness by way of individuals, it's important to remember that 9 Mahagata resultant consciousness, that is 5 material resultant consciousness and 5 immaterial sphere resultant consciousness are not considered. Therefore, remaining 80 consciousness will be considered here. Take note also, Arahat Pasalasa person are called Aseka, as they have completed the training. The person from the Sotapanna Magat state to Arahat Magat state are called Seka, as they are still being trained. So this is a different thoughts. Devi Hetuka, having two roots, and Ahetuka without roots. These are person cannot get Kriya Javana. They have no dysfunctional impulse. And Apana Javana, as they cannot reach this jhana and super mundane levels. It's only those born with three roots, Trihetuka, who can develop jhana and attain sainthood. That's why we are lucky with three roots. We have this capability. Ahetuka person, a person with morally neutral state. And Ahetuka person might refer to someone whose mental state are prominently neutral, lacking strong wholesome or unwholesome root, as great hatred delusion or the opposite. Such person might act without strong ethical or unethical motivation, simply responding to sensory stimuli or habitual pattern without karmic consequences. Example, a mad person keeps shouting all the bad word. Then this person they considered as ahetuka. Or can say a person with undeveloped karmic roots. This is another type. In a more metaphorical sense, an ahetuka person could describe someone whose mind is not strongly influenced by wholesome or unwholesome tendency. This might apply to individuals who are not deeply engaged in spiritual practice or ethical reflection, leading a life driven more by instinct or habit than by intentional moral or immoral action. A good example, in my army time, there's one guy, whenever we talk about what is right, what is wrong, this particular person visit prostitute house. So he said, I never force any woman to submit to me. I just pay them. So this woman act it as a business. So to him, it's not wrong because I pay. I never do anything evil. So these are kind of person of this nature. So you talk to them, no use one. So when you encounter such person, a hetuka person, no use arguing with them. Next one, a person in a state of spiritual immaturity. In the context of Buddhist spiritual development, an ahetuka person might be seen as someone who has yet cultivated the wholesome roots, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, and is not strongly affected by unwholesome root either. Such a person might be a state of spiritual neutrality and not yet progressing on the path toward enlightenment. Another example, a IG member of my group, the husband, he claimed himself to be a Buddhist. So one fine day at a dinner, he forced everybody to buy lottery, okay? Because that time the total has $1 million over few million to get stock price. So whole table, everybody bought from him, except me. So he was quite provoked by the way I behave. So what is it? A Buddhist person cannot buy lottery. Where got such thing? I Buddhist, I every day also buy. So to put this person mouth shut, I told him, I'm not every Buddhist like you, okay? So mind your own business. So he stopped talking with me. A person experiencing ahetuka cittas. From a strict Abhidhamma perspective, an ahetuka person could be someone frequently experience ahetuka citta, rootless consciousness, such as those arising from simple sensory experiences or certain type of resultant vipaka citta. So these states are chemical neutral and do not generate new karmic result. Example are those mentally sick. So they are doing without understanding. So these are called rootless. Right? So what is Sugati Ahetuka? It says, fortunate rebirth Sugati that arises from rootless resultant consciousness. Ahetuka Vipachita. This means that the rebirth is a result of past karmic action, but the consciousness at the time of rebirth is neutral and not associated with any roots. Right? They are such people. And they Hetu person do not get Nada Sampati Mahavipaka Chitta. It's a specific type of consciousness that associates with wisdom and the resultant consciousness, vipaka, arising from a wholesome karmic action. So these are terms explaining on Sugati Ahetuka. Then Dugati Ahetuka, unfortunate rebirth, Dugati, that arises from the rootless resultant consciousness. Ahetuka Vipaka Chitta is a result of past unwholesome karma, but the consciousness at the time of rebirth is neutral and does not generate new karma. This concept underscores the importance of ethical conduct and cultivation of wholesome root to avoid suffering and progress on the path to liberation. Those persons this do, as well as hell, do not get 8 Maha Vipaka Chitta, both Nana, Sampayutta, and Vipaka Chitta. So these are terms which I get from other sources explaining on this. Next one. Arahats do not get kusala and akusala chitta. Then I know you all know. When they perform a wholesome act, they only have kriya function, which do not produce vipaka result, and they never get unwholesome thought. This is a term that until now the Mahayana will never accept this. It said it's as long as person, they will have karma. So Seka and ordinary Putujana beings do not get Kriya functional Javana Chitta. Seka person do not get Ditthigata, Samyota, Vichichicha Chitta as their eliminated Ditti, Vichichicha at the Sotapanna state. This one we completed in the earlier years. Adagami person do not get two dosa mula, a type of unwholesome consciousness rooted in hatred, aversion also. Then Lokatala Javana Chitta. Magga Chitta arise only in the respective person who have realized the respective path consciousness, book consciousness. Pala Chitta immediately follows the Magga Chitta and later arise in the Pala Sampati. The 9 Mahagata Vipaka Chitta arise only at the time of rebirth in the respective Brahma plane as Patisande Chitta and continue as Bhavanga Chitta. Hence, they do not active with Vitti Chitta. The remaining 80 Chitta are active Vitti Chitta. This one, you all look to yourself. It's a table that explains how you are born with different roots. Long explanation here. The most covering what we explained earlier. But this one very long-winded one. Talk all about the consciousness. Okay? Analysis. In the sense sphere, Kamachara, Kamavachara plane, all the citta, 80, can arise according to circumstances. In the form plane, the Rupa Brahma plane 64, all with exception of Chitta with dosa aversion and Tada Mana, I mean the realization one, can arise. So in the formless plane, Arupa Brahma, 42, all within exception of the first path, Sotapanna Magga Chitta, Rupa Vachana Chitta, smiling consciousness, the lower Arupa class of consciousness do not arise. In the planes devoid of certain sense organ, formless or no sense organ, thought process connected with these door organs cannot arise. In the Brahma plane, only the eye and the ear door present out of pancha deva. So in the formless, only of these two sort. In the anasata bhumi, non-percipient beings, no chitta arise. Anasata means non-perceiving beings, and bhumi means the plane of realm. This realm is unique because beings are in the state of deep meditation absorption where the perception ceases entirely. Okay, finish. So go back, go and read the Conversion Manual Abhidhamma by Bhikkhu Bodhi from page 135 to 184 for better understanding. And then homework again. One read today your brother doing, so this one out. Okay. What consciousness do the function of Javana? Name them under the plane existence. What are Javana? And then name all of them in the various plane existence. Want to do? Ada go? You taking exam, you do lah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next one. How is feeling? Vedanta explain. Name the Chitta is fall under its category of feeling. Sister Teo. Okay, your turn. You're absent for night or what? Okay. Name the what is feeling and name the Chitta is fall under the feeling. Type of each category of feeling. Okay now. Sister. Where are you? Sister Teo.
Yeah.
Okay, so assign to you.
One shot do 4 questions, brother.
What?
You give 4 questions,
The third one, brother today doing the third one. So, Sister Sumeta, next one, name the 6 steps of consciousness, Viana, and describe about eye consciousness and ear consciousness in your own word. This one,
Okay.
earlier one, have already. Okay, Sister Sumeta.
Okay.
Okay, that's all. So today pretty long. So up to your presentation. I voice almost cong up. Okay.
So, Brother Lau, you want to take a rest first, then
Stop for a while, cannot? 5 minutes, then come
okay.
back.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll stop for a while. Come back
So,
about 10
Sumita,
minutes.
present first. You want to present first or?
Okay. Mine is the brief one.
Mine is also quite brief.
Oh, no problem then. I present first. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll meet again about 10 minutes later.
Okay.